After yesterday, it is more clear to me than ever that MSTR, the company known as Strategy, is going to absolutely take over the world with its product Stretch, ticker symbol STRC. It's had its iPhone moment, and we're going to show here today on this channel how exactly MSTR is going to absolutely eat the old financial system all the way to the top. Let's get into it. All right, everybody. Welcome back. This is the Debasement Index. My name is Angel Rios, and this is a channel solely focused on building capital in a fiat world together. Now, maybe some of you can tell the resolution on this camera is way better. So little by little, we're improving the channel, the quality. I'm in the middle of setting up the studio, so you don't just see a super white wall behind me. And it's amazing to have you guys on the journey. But in the meantime, we have a whole bunch of things to talk about. Today, we're going to talk about Stretch, exactly what it did yesterday, how I believe it's going to eat the financial world alive, and how it's really going to benefit Strategy. So the topics today, we are going to talk about why the media's portrayal of MSTR getting liquidated is unfounded. We're going to talk about Stretch and how well it's performing. We're going to talk about its TAM, is total addressable market, and how if Bitcoin compounds at 10, 20, 30% CAGR, compound annual growth rate a year, how that's absolutely going to take MSTR to the moon. So without further ado, let's get into what Stretch did. So as you see here, this is the Stretch ATM analysis. Okay, so this is kind of like a tool that I like to use in order to, kind of track the performance of Stretch, especially when it's trading above $100 at par, because that's when Stretch can actually turn on the ATM. So what we want to look at is the numbers for Thursday. Now, Wednesday was a relatively okay day, but Thursday was an absolute killer day. So if you look here under the metrics, STRC price had traded pretty much above $100 all day, which allowed Strategy to have the ATM on all day long during the trading day. Now, the total volume, you see here that under Thursday, so 2/12, $197 million of Stretch was traded on that day. Now, the percentage of that 197 million, right? If you look under total volume, you'll see percentage volume above 100. It was 98%, 98.1% of that 197 million was trading above $100. Now, the volume above $100, you'll see under Thursday, it was $193 million. Now, assuming, and this is a very conservative assumption, okay, that the ATM capture, the amount of Stretch that Strategy was able to issue and sell, was 50% above that $100. It means that the ATM capture at 50%, the ATM proceeds were $97 million. The average price during the market hours for Bitcoin was $66,002, which means that the equivalent Bitcoin that just in one trading day, Thursday, 2/12, that Strategy was able to purchase through the ATM sales of this preferred stock was 1,459 Bitcoin in a single day. It's absolutely wild. And the percentage of BTC supply mined every day now until the next halving in 2028, 450 Bitcoin are mined a day, which means that Strategy alone by itself was able to capture 324% of the daily supply. So they ate 3 1.25 days of the entire Bitcoin supply for this year. Absolutely incredible work. Now, STRC doesn't trade above 100 every single day. But once this continues to catch on and it continues to have its network effect and people start realizing like, hey, I cannot put my money in bonds, treasuries, or high yield savings account. I can just put it in Stretch. Stretch will be trading above par or at par, so at $100 or above $100, more and more days out of the month. So imagine when days like this is 15 days out of the month, 20 days out of the month, 25 days out of the month, 30 days out of the month. It's going to absolutely suck the Bitcoin supply out of the market. And there's going to be a supply issue, and the demand just on Bitcoin just continues to go up over time. So absolute amazing moment for Stretch. I mean, just the numbers here, $97 million of ATM proceeds with which they purchased Bitcoin at an average price of 66.2, and leading, okay, to 1,459 Bitcoin purchased in a single day. Now, we'll see the official numbers on Monday, but this is an absolute awesome thing to see. And now let me get into and show you why that 11.25% yield that strategy is going to pay on that $97 million of ATM proceeds or Stretch issued, why it's inconsequential when you factor in the CAGR of Bitcoin, and why I think that this liquidation FUD is nothing that investors need to be worried about. In fact, it's actually a bullish signal for anybody wanting to invest in MSTR, the common stock. So let me go ahead and show you guys why I think that is. So this is the reason right here that I believe the reasons for and the FUD for the liquidation, for strategy, and them selling Bitcoin, so on and so forth, to cover the yield obligations is unfounded. Today, or on Thursday, on February 12th, okay, they issued $97 million through Stretch, through the ATM proceeds. Okay? Now, with that being said, they're paying 11.25% yield on that $97 million every year. Now, keep in mind that 11.25%, it is not compounding on itself every single year. They're paying 11.25% for whatever amount that they sold the ATM for, which means that the total yield paid over the next 10 years is $109,125,000. Okay, cool. Now, what does that actually mean for Bitcoin? Well, they purchased Bitcoin with that $97 million, and that Bitcoin is also compounding. Now, the compound annual growth rate of Bitcoin right now is 35%. Okay, but I'd rather do this in a way where we're going to do this in a more conservative way. Okay, so over the next 10 years, if the compound annual growth rate of Bitcoin is only 20%, let's just say it goes down from 35% to 20%. The total value in 10 years of the Bitcoin that they purchased just in one day today, or one day, on February 12th, on Thursday, is $600,598,392. So you see, yes, they have a yield obligation to the yield investors that give them money for Stretch, but the yield doesn't compound on itself over time. The underlying investment providing that yield does. And it's why strategy and Michael Saylor and Fong Lee and the whole executive team are so incredibly bullish on Stretch being the next biggest financial asset in finance, because it works. Not only is it beneficial for the underlying company with the underlying capital that's over collateralizing the preferred stock, the yield giving stock, but at the same time, it is extremely beneficial for those people who hold Stretch because they are getting a bigger yield on the money that they earn. They're not getting skimped out. They're not getting punished for being savers. They're actually being rewarded by that same company. Now, let's go on the total addressable market for this and why it is my belief that this has the issuance of Stretch and strategy being brilliant enough to come up with Stretch has started the yield wars. The yield wars between the banking system, so the old financial markets, and the new digital-based with digital capital financial markets being spearheaded by strategy, but not just strategy. Strive is doing this. Metaplanet is doing this. So I think we're in for a ride, guys. And I think digital capital, digital credit in the form of Stretch with underlying Bitcoin is going to win. Let's look at that. So now you have multiple companies, both in the old finance sector and the new, battling over this yield. One side has yield that is backed by treasuries and government debt or municipal debt, local governments and federal governments. And then you have another one that's backed by digital capital, and offers digital credit. Okay, that capital is Bitcoin. And you have a huge disparity between the two yields because the instruments are inherently different. They're very different collaterals. One is backed by faith and credit of said entity. In this case, let's use the US government. And the other one is backed by digital capital, right? Bitcoin. Now, one is offering you 3.75%, 4% if you're lucky, and the other one is offering 11.25%. And this is why I think that this has ignited the banking yield wars, okay, between the old banking system and the new banking system that's coming and is actually disrupting the monetary system, which is the only thing that hasn't been disrupted by technology, but is now coming. Why do I believe this to be a war between the two in the business sense? Well, because the Clarity Act is trying to pass the Senate, and it won't because these banks keep lobbying in Congress in order to stop the bill. Now, what is it that they're fighting about? They're fighting about yield. More specifically, the yield on stable coins, for example. So these companies like Coinbase, companies like Strategy, so on and so forth, providing yield through digital credit avenues. Now, I'm bullish on Stretch. I'm not exceedingly bullish on stable coins. They still have a fiat denomination because they're a 1-to-1 to the US dollar. But it revolves around the same conversation. These banks are going to mommy and daddy, which is the government, asking them to protect their business model. What's their business model? Purchasing US treasuries, giving you a basis point of interest on your savings account, and then keeping the spread. Essentially, that is a really huge part of their business. And it's under attack. When it's under attack by digital capital and digital credit, it's being disrupted. Now, I find that gives me incredible optimism that the current monetary system that we have right now that punishes savers and gives people a short time horizon for their future instead of extending their time horizon and being able to save for a house and all those things has been incredibly detrimental to society. It's been detrimental to families. It's been detrimental to society. It's been detrimental to the country. And these bankers have gone incredibly wealthy doing so. And now there's some fight back. And they're going to daddy, and they're trying to slow the passing of the Clarity Act. And the main thing that they're fighting is the yield on stable coins and the yield along these like digital capital crypto rails. Digital capital is going to win. Digital capital is going to win. And Bitcoin itself, stable coins do need the help of the government to pass through the Clarity Act, but Bitcoin does not. It's already been established as a commodity. It's already regulated in the eyes of the government, and it's a growing asset class. And it's why I'm so bullish on MSTR, because it's not going to be the government. It's going to be the market. The market, us, the people, are going to show that this is a better asset to hold as a savings technology. Digital capital providing digital credit. And I am incredibly bullish on the fact that strategy and Bitcoin are going to win the banking yield wars that are happening right now in the markets, in the financial system. And it's going to be amazing to see the progression of this battle that both entities are going through. That both entities are going through right now. And digital capital and digital credit are going to win. And it's amazing. It's an amazing time to be alive. I mean, who would have thought that the legacy financial system was going to be disrupted in our lifetimes? I mean, it makes me incredibly bullish, incredibly optimistic about, the next 50, 60, 70 years of my life and my family's life, and especially our children and grandchildren in the future. I mean, this is going to be extremely positive for their overall quality of life. And this is why I support Stretch. I support strategy. I support companies that are making a positive impact for the world and our country. So remember, nothing in this video is investment advice. This is purely for entertainment purposes only. And that's it for me, guys. My name is Angel Rios. This is the Debasement Index. And remember, this is a channel solely focused on building capital in a fiat world together. Have a great day, guys.